welcome back to the show. Well, we have about less than 5 minutes before the pre-opening rates. Okay, just 1 minute before the pre-opening rate kicks in. The SGX Nifty indicating that the start will be slightly flat. Mayuresh Joshi of Angel Broking also joins in. Mayuresh, first your thoughts on VRL Logistics. I mean, they've decided to can their plans on getting into the aviation space. Do you track the stock?
Not very closely, Sonia, but again, I think with the announcement that the management had done and the commentary when they announced their foray, I think the stock probably did not take it in the right spirit. And again, I think what has really changed and the reason given by the management for inter-regional connectivity and the issues thereof, I think the street will grapple with what has probably transpired in this last 3 months. However, I think with the plan of scrapping, probably the stock might react positively. But generally, I think I remain optimistic on the logistics sector in the long run.
Okay, well, we should be getting the market opening in a bit. Mayuresh, we will come to you in a second. The Asian markets also actually have been showing green, though SGX Nifty was a little subdued in early morning trade. So just let's get the first trade in and then resume our conversation. SGX Nifty will also come up for you. Asian markets have generally been cheerful, even if not rara. Okay, there is a big rally happening in Nikkei for sure. It's a 1% uptick. So that's the SGX Nifty. For some reason, not showing so much of cheer as the other Asian markets. But just let's wait by. Okay, it's neither here nor there. It's dilly-dallying at this point in time, the opening. But green as I speak to you. Now it is about almost 0.5%, 0.4% uptick in the Sensex and the Nifty. More the Nifty rather than the Sensex. What's the dollar rupee doing? I think it was 67.20 when we went to bed yesterday. I think the rupees opened around the same levels. Okay, 67.22. So it's a flat opening for the rupee. It's not weakening much. Remember, it's a very strong dollar globally, and therefore it's just a minor weakness, very, very minor weakness for the rupee. And this is an important sales note. Remember, this is an Anand Rathi sales note, which is telling us that there's some good news in the offing for Walcott. It appears, according to this sales note, that there is an establishment inspection report for Chikalthana, for Walcott's Chikalthana facility. That indicates that the inspection has been concluded by the US FDA without any problems. So Chikalthana probably is now in the green or in the clear. The EAR is in place for 2 facilities, it appears, from the Anand Rathi report, for Waluj and for Chikalthana. It's a positive step. It means that the regulatory hurdles are on their way out. So this would be good, very good for Walcott, but I just want to caution you, this is an Anand Rathi sales note.
Oh yes, and Walcott was up yesterday about what, 10-11%. Today in pre-opening it's up 1%. And Chikalthana is a big facility for Walcott. Almost 2/3 of its sales to the US comes from this Chikalthana unit itself. So if they've gotten an EIR or an all-clear report for this unit, then it's a big positive for that company. Walcott gaining now up about 1.5%. We'll try and get more details on this, but before that, some more stocks in focus. VRL in pre-opening is just kicking it out of the fence, 20% higher now. Don't know if that will fructify, but for now the tick is looking pretty good on VRL. You can see locked in upper circuit there, as the company has decided to scrap its plans of getting into the aviation business, something that's not its core business, and the street was very worried about it when the company had taken that call, but now they've dropped the plan, so up 20%. IIFL Holdings in pre-opening is up 16%, as it will be getting an investment from CDC Group to the tune of almost 1,000 crores. So look at that, IIFL Holding buzzing away right now, and a couple of other stocks also are looking quite good, but we'll get to that in a bit.
HPCL, of course.
Oh yes, that is the big
that's
one.
An 8% rise that I can see on my screen, but HPCL also will see a lot of gains with that huge bonus announcement. Let's not read the others, since the other numbers are still a little iffy. Well, ITC is starting higher. Let's see how things. Oh, we have to do ACC Ambuja as well. ACC is starting 1% higher. Maybe we want to look at Ambuja as well. Those are the other 2 stocks which are important, because at that long last, the green signal has come in for that huge takeover activity. but since largely factored in, I guess market at this point in time not reacting too much.
Okay, so let's just tell you about the overall market setup, because we're just inches away from the 52-week high of 86.54. 85.95 is where the index is at. Looks like the going is going to be pretty good. Manoj Muralidharan of Religare Securities also joins in. Manoj, for paucity of time, quickly if you can just take us through 2 or 3 of your top stock strategies for the day.
Morning, Sonia. I guess the way the homework has been done yesterday, I guess this might be a good 100 points day for the Nifty, and we are very positive on the Bank Nifty for a 400 points. So all the trading calls are in banks. The first call is buy SBI at 231 with a stop loss 226. We are expecting a target of 243 on that. We like ICICI as well, which is buy on the current month futures at 268 with a stop loss of 260. I'm expecting a target of 283 on that. ACC from the cement looks good buying with long built up at 1638. We recommend buying that with a stop loss of 1604 and a target of 1690 on that.
Okay, Manoj, we'll come back to you for more ideas. Mayuresh, Wockhardt getting this establishment inspection report. I want to caution you again. We've got this from an Anand Rathi sales note, but the street was expecting this. Your view on that stock itself?
Well, Lata, again, won't really want to comment whether they've got one unless we get clarification. But if they do get one, I think it's going to be a huge positive, as Sonia was mentioning, because it's one of the major manufacturing units for Wockhardt. But within the pharma space itself, I think what has been plaguing them was the FDA concerns and a whole host of issues surrounding that. So the remedial and the remediation issues is what the street believes would probably get over by FY17, and FY18 numbers would start appearing far much better. Again, I think the kind of pipeline that these pharma companies have, both in the generic business specifically towards the US formulations market, as well as stronghold of a few companies within the domestic market, I think that holds them in good stead for a good earnings growth over the next couple of years. So again, I think apart from Wockhardt, if they do get that, as I mentioned earlier, again, once those clarifications come, positive. But again, I think what we really like from the pharma space is Dr. Reddy's, Aurobindo Pharma, and that again with a 2 to 3 year view, because our belief is FY18 numbers will be far better if one really assumes the remediation issues and the issues related to their plants probably getting resolved by that point of time.
Okay. Mayuresh, what are your thoughts on some of these stocks like HPCL? I mean, investors are making big money in this one, not just, because the stock has rallied so much, but now there's a 2:1 bonus issue as well. For somebody who's perhaps missed out on this bus completely, is it still worth a buy?
Again, I remain extremely constructive on the OMC pack and have always been over the last few quarters, and the primary reason probably is because of the working capital constraints going down that the street has probably taken into its fold. But what goes forward again is the kind of marketing margin improvement that these OMCs can witness going forward. Now, you've probably seen for HPCL, petrol marketing margins around 1.7 rupees a litre, diesel around 1.6, and if those marketing margins are showing an uptrend, I think the earnings per share increases significantly for a company like HPCL. I was hearing the management out there posted GRMs of $6.7 a barrel in FY16. If we assume the higher distillate yields to probably sustain over the next couple of years, you're probably looking at margins at $7.5 to say the least. Again, with the kind of expansion that they're going through, specifically HPCL, it's a huge capex both for Vizag, Bathinda as well as the Mumbai refinery. That is going to have a huge impetus in terms of how the expected GRMs are expected to pan out over the next 3 to 4 years. Couple that up with the kind of debt levels and the operating cash flows that can have a significant traction. Debt levels around 21,000 crores, cash flows expected to improve significantly, and again dividend yields around 3 to 4%. So I think OMCs remain the flavor probably for this market, and my own sense is that the optimism will continue over the next couple of years. The only risk factor, Sonia, remains the movement of crude. If crude reacts in a diverse fashion over the next 2 to 3 years with the kind of capex that they are doing, I think that can have some amount of negative impact. But again, I think it's a long drawn out story, not really taking a call on where crude will be after 2 to 3 years. But one really expects crude to move in this range. I think OMCs as a pack should benefit, and I remain constructive on them.
Okay. Let me just get back to Manoj on the Nifty. Manoj, looks like the Nifty is settling with an opening of 8582. Its near-term resistance level appears will be taken today. It has been resisting 8580 several times. What's the trade?
Morning, Lata. The most important thing that we have observed during the derivative side is, till the time the Nifty and the Bank Nifty, they don't align in one direction, the trend doesn't have strength. And last couple of days, it was, we were seeing some resistance from the Nifty and the Bank Nifty. But yesterday's stage, precisely, if you see, there is huge writing in the put option at 85, 8600. And the Bank Nifty, there is a cumulative built-up, and that is fresh money has come into the bank as well as the Nifty futures. So we believe that, the resistance might be somewhere close to an 8660 to 8670 on the futures. We are expecting Nifty might be a good healthy day. We might end up maybe a 60-80 points at least positive after maybe the first half. The Bank Nifty is where the momentum is still there. We are expecting that the resistance in the Bank Nifty futures might come only somewhere close to 19,380 precisely. So the strategy here is we are buying a Nifty future, let's 8560 to 80, we buy that with a stop loss of 8530, and we're expecting a target of 8660 on that. Same goes with the Bank Nifty. We're buying it at 19,000 on the future with a stop loss of 18880. I'm expecting a 350 odd points, so the target would be 19350 on that.
Okay, well, now Wockhardt is spiking up some more on the back of the news flow that its Chikalthana facility could have got an all-clear report. Remember, these are what channel checks of Anand Rathi is suggesting. We don't have a confirmation from the management just yet, but the stock is just buzzing away. It was up 11% yesterday, up 4.5% right now. Prakash, any thoughts on how to approach some of these mid-cap or sort of non-index large-cap pharma names like Wockhardt?
In fact, Wockhardt was on my list today, but that would be the third pharma stock. That's why I avoided it. Wockhardt is certainly looking good to me. It's formed a good base, and yesterday's move from 12% tells me that there's not much downside, but the upside could be in the vicinity of even 1200 zones. So there is a good up move available in Wockhardt.
Certainly affecting the health of the stock markets, the healthcare stocks. Well, Mayuresh, I wanted to ask you about the recent bunch of numbers. Many of them have been actually weak. The IT pack, even the mid-cap IT pack like APIT have all declared weak results. HUL did not flatter. What flattered for you? Which was the pick of the pack in terms of good numbers?
So again, I think IT did disappoint, Lata, and again, if one really goes by what the management commentary has been, the uncertainty related to Brexit probably is an unknown factor even for the managements of IT companies. Couple that up with Q3, Q4 expected to be seasonally weak quarters. A huge amount of improvement is expected to be seen in Q2. But again, I think the Wipro guidance was very, very disappointing for Q2. And again, the kind of execution that one really expects to come through, I think it will be time telling in terms of how they'll be able to deliver. So I think it might be a muted and a soft year for IT as a whole. I think that is getting evident from the numbers that we are getting on the screen. Again, I think the housing companies, the housing finance companies is what has stood out for me. I think LIC Housing is given a very reasonable set of numbers in my opinion. Dewan Housing again gave a very reasonable set of numbers, and the expectations of borrowing cost coming down over the next few quarters with expectations of NCDs probably taking a lion's share in their borrowing. Retail advances expected to remain strong. I think housing finance as a pack has stood out, and for FMCG generally, I think HUL did disappoint in terms of their volume growth. But one really needs to understand that what will come through in terms of volume growth for FMCG or consumer staples will be Q3, Q4 onwards. A large part of the gains from monsoon or the pay commission will be evident only after Q2, and that will be evident in volumes after that. So you are expected to probably assume very sluggish volumes even for Q2, but Q3 might be a game changer or the start of a volume growth activity for a whole host of these FMCG consumer staple stocks.
Okay, and finally I wanted to ask you, VRL Logistics, any other logistics?
Transport Corporation is something that I've liked in the past, and I continue to remain optimistic. As I said, I think an asset-light model is what they follow at this point of time. And again, I think GST will be a game changer. But again, I think it's not going to be a game changer from the word go. So I think logistic companies will benefit, but again, it is going to take a time period, and that time lag might well extend over the next 2 to 3 years for those real benefits and synergies to come through. The ancillary industries might benefit from GST, but again, logistics as a pack, very, very constructive. I think Transport Corporation is something that I've liked from lower levels, so investors holding on should continue holding on.
Okay, so those are a whole host of stocks that are buzzing around. By the way, Anisha also alerts us about Neyveli Lignite, which is up about 6% in pre-opening, as the cabinet has approved Neyveli Lignite's Uttar Pradesh power project. So that could be another stock on your radar this morning. But the stock that has taken everyone's breath away over the last couple of days is Wockhardt, and there is some news flow coming in on the potential positives for Wockhart's Chikalthana facility. Ekta joins in to tell us more. Ekta.
Hi, thanks Sonia. Well, this is a sales note that we've picked up from Anand Rathi, which in fact indicates that the company Wockhardt has received an establishment inspection report for the Chikalthana facility, and this is post an inspection that took place in March of 2015. So now this means that basically the inspection has been closed in terms of what the USFDA had done. Remember that the Waluj facility as well as the Chikalthana facility had received import alerts in 2013. The EIR or establishment inspection report was already in place for the Waluj facility, and the Chikalthana facility, the incremental piece of news is that they've received an EIR. Now what we need to know is whether the import alert has been lifted or not from these two facilities, but receiving an EIR is generally a positive indication of how the regulatory process has gone for the particular company. Now in terms of these two particular plants, peak sales from the US was $550 to $600 million. Two-thirds of that came in and from the Chikalthana facility, around $300 million odd, and the remaining was from the Waluj facility, around $150 million. Now that has come down. The US business has been declining continuously because of the import alert on these two facilities. So this should be positive. What we need to know is whether the import alert has been lifted or not for these two plants, whether they can successfully start supplying goods to the US from these two plants. EIR nonetheless is a positive indication.
All right, thank you very much for putting that into perspective, and we will expect you, of course, to give us the confirmation of when they will start importing from that plant. For the moment, the indices are importing some happiness. It's about 0.25% higher, and that 8580 mark is where the market opened. 8578 as I speak, 8580. Looks like that resistance will be broken and we will extend it towards that 8650 mark. Let's wait and see. At the moment, that resistance point is certainly where the market is stalling but conquering it. The index, the Sensex as well, up about 0.16. It's not a huge opening, but the important point is that resistance appears to have been at least attacked, if not conquered. The Bank Nifty is flat at this juncture. The mid-caps are doing a tad better. What's doing well in the big boy space? BPCL is up 1.3, but for good measure, let's look at HPCL. That's where the party is on. I guess about 8-9% is what the pre-market indicated. Now 5%, that's more sober. Ambuja Cements, we have to look at that. Actually, the uncertainty is behind. Everything is known about what will be the cost to Ambuja or to ACC or the gains to them. But now, since the uncertainty is over, one should expect a bit of celebration on both Ambuja and ACC. That's about 1% higher on ACC and 1.25% higher on Ambuja Cements. ITC ahead of the numbers, where the volumes are expected to rise after several quarters of contraction. That stock as well showing about a 1% uptick. And then between 0.5% and 1% are Wipro, Tata Power, Ultratech Cement, Tata Motors, Sun Pharma, Bajaj Auto, Kotak Mahindra Bank. Again, numbers expected, all that up about 0.5%. Maruti Suzuki, the other banks as well, Bank of Baroda, HDFC Bank, not doing too badly, 0.33% higher. Quite a few of them are announcing numbers. Kotak Mahindra, HDFC Bank, for instance. What's showing a little bit of red at this point in time? Dr. Reddy's. It has had a good run. So just about 0.7 down. Power Grid, HUL, HCL Tech, BHEL, Axis Bank all down about 0.5%. Axis Bank as well, yesterday we did see that bit of long unwinding in Axis Bank. It was negative on an otherwise positive day, so some trouble was always expected. Numbers due on Friday. HCL Tech, TCS, NTPC, all of them down about 0.25%, but mid-caps are doing a little bit.
Yes, good opening for the mid-cap index, up 0.3%. The market breadth is strong. The stock in focus right now is VRL Logistics, 17% higher and big volumes traded on that one. Big relief rally seen over there as the company will not be entering into the aviation space. The decision taken by the management now. IIFL Holdings is the other one, 10% higher. In any case, the whole brokerage fraternity is doing very well in the stock market these days, and IIFL will be getting an investment from the CDC group to the tune of 1,000 crores, so that's buzzing on the back of that. Sasken Communications is up 8% post its numbers. There was a big bump up in the margins this quarter for Sasken, coming in at 15.6% versus 8% last quarter, and that's something that the street likes. Up about 8%. Walk hard, as Ekta was telling us, 6% higher as it gets, it may have gotten an all clear for its Chikalthana unit. That's something to keep on your radar as well. KPIT Technologies, by the way, despite a weak set of numbers, the stock is higher by almost about 4.5%. We'll try and get to the bottom of that. And a couple of more stocks to look at. Neyveli Lignite, as I mentioned before market opening, they've gotten an approval, cabinet approval for one of their projects, so that stock is up almost about 6%. Let's take a look at Hindustan Zinc, because in pre-opening the stock was lower as the income has fallen and the margins are lower for the company. Hindustan Zinc as well is down about 1%. But okay, it's a flat opening with a positive bias for the market, and mid caps are doing better. Our other partner in crime, Anuj Singhal, also joins in now, a little late, but better late than never. Anuj, morning. What's the sense on the market itself? It's still in positive terrain.
Yeah, it's still positive, and as I've been saying, maybe it has some unfinished business at that 8650, 8700 mark. A word on KPIT first, Sonia. In fact, that's something that I tweeted yesterday as well, that the stock has really gone into the numbers with absolutely zero expectations and has corrected so much that it was a matter of time before, in certain cases it's, the bad news plays out in the stock price before the actual news hits you. And this could be playing out right now in KPIT right now, and that's why the stock is up 4%. But it's a stock specific market right now. Trading Nifty, even though it may have some more legs towards say 8650 or 8700, the risk reward is not exactly in your favor to take fresh long now. This reward still remains in your favor to stay invested, but it's about individual stocks. Look at Wockhardt, for example, HPCL, KPIT, a lot of F&O names, and that's where the action will be. So you got to pick individual stocks. You got to back momentum in this market in individual stocks with your stop loss, and you'll make money, and not stay out in this market, because this left out feeling is not going to be good for you.
Okay, well, a couple of more stocks actually that you can look at. Bharat Seeds is one stock that is up almost about 7% or 8% post its numbers. So the intraday chart of Bharat Seeds should come up for you. The net profits have gone up 70%, okay, 10% higher now, 70% up move in net profits. But I think Neyveli Lignite is a stock in focus.
We have to get the management speaking, because it's a big announcement that came from the cabinet. Approved a proposal of 17,000 crore rupee power plant in Uttar Pradesh. S.K. Acharya, the chairman of Neyveli Lignite, has joined us on the phone line. Good morning, Mr. Acharya. Well, this is a huge expansion plan that has been approved, and that's about what, a 1980 megawatt plant. Can you start immediately? You have the money?
Yeah, good morning. In fact, yes, this is a good encouragement for my company, and Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs cleared the proposal for NLC along with UP Utpadan Nigam Limited in a joint venture mode is going to set up a power project near Kanpur, that is Ghatampur is the place, with a 660 megawatt into 3 supercritical boilers. The total capacity will be 1980 megawatt. And we are ready with all the groundwork. In fact, my contracts are also ready, so we will be able to proceed ahead with the work very shortly.
So when will the project become operational? When you say very shortly, what kind of a timeline are you looking at?
Timeline, the first unit we could bring in somewhere around 52 months, then followed by 6 months each for next 2 units.
Okay, and the money you will have to start loaning up right away. Will this push up any costs, or the interest will be capitalized?
So far as capex is concerned, the total could be around 17,300 crores, and the equity part will be coming from my internal accruals. And as a 49% stakeholder, UP government is also putting in the equity as per their share.
Okay.
So no issue regarding money for the project.
Mr. Acharya, are you noticing any improved demand for power at all?
See, basically all these projects are coming up through the PPA mode, and here from this project, which will be generating something around 14,000 million units per year, 75% of that UP will be buying, that is as per the power purchase agreement we have with UP, and rest 25% the buyers are to be tied up, or even we can go for trading also, no issue on that.
So I agree, that is 4 years from now, and one hopes Uttar Pradesh will buy at that time. But at the moment, are you seeing any of the DISCOMs purchasing power at all? Merchant rates, we understand, have crashed to like 2 rupees.
That's true. In fact, power trading is a difficult issue now, and in fact, in lean hours, that is early morning hours, starting from 00 hours to 6 a.m., the rate is falling down somewhere around even 2 rupees. So there is a lot of power surrender, because now it is rainy season and wind power is available, so also hydropower. So unless you are a reliable and cheap power producer, it will be difficult for the power producer to generate and supply.
Okay, one final question then. What are the plant load factors for this particular project?
For this project that is coming up?
Yes, what is the expected PLFs that one can see?
No, that is when I tell about that 14,000 million units per year, then I'm talking in terms of 85% PLF plus.
Okay. What are the current PLF average?
Current PLF average for us, if I include the power surrender that I'm facing right now for my units, which happen to be 354 million units in last quarter, with that I'm touching somewhere around 85 to 86% PLF for my existing plants.
All right, we'll leave it at that, Mr. Acharya. Thank you very much for joining us with all those details. We have to return to the market because it has surrendered those 20 points. It looked like it would attack that 8580 resistance, but the resistance has struck back, as it were. Anuj, any word on this?
Just about Nifty futures is a freak high today of 8888. I mean, it's a freak trade that took place there, maybe a fat finger error or whatever, but just wanted to put that in context. You know, for Nifty futures, technically it's a 52-week high, but that does not mean much. But yes, the zone is resistance zone between now to 8650, and if you're buying in this zone, you are buying with the knowledge that you have a risk of maybe 50-100 points on the Nifty.
Maybe I want to ask Sudarshan about it. Sudarshan, you began the day by saying that you would go long today. The indications are like that. The first attempt at 8580 has gotten struck, albeit by only 10 points. Would you still advise fresh longs? What's the strategy for the moment?
Yeah, Lala, I would still advise fresh longs. It's not necessary for the markets to oblige me immediately or even to oblige me at all. But the trade still is to be long. We are on the verge of a breakout. Points of breakout are always points of high risk. If the breakout fails, we are stuck. But the breakouts that don't fail give us a lot of money. So go long. Your stops are 8500. If there is a breakout, you can immediately push your stops up. But at this point, that's how I would trade for the Bank Nifty and the Nifty, both on the long side.
Oh yes, there is a breakout in the broader markets for sure. I mean, look at some of these stocks like Tata Metallics. That stock is up now 14%, and you know, this stock goes up double digits almost on a daily basis. It's now up about 40% just in 1 month. A big surge coming in, and even some of the other Tata Group stocks. I mean, look at something like a tin plate. It's up. It was up what, 12% yesterday. It's up 3%
yeah,
today.
Tata Metallics is up 400% this year now. That's a 4-bagger. So
Yeah,
phenomenal stock, and you know, this is after last quarter's numbers. The stock has been rising non-stop. The numbers look good, and after that there's a re-rating. Look at that, from 80 to 480. I mean, what kind of a stock it has been.
Okay, it's behaving like a sugar store.
Okay, well,
look at that.
well, for now the market may be flat, but as we said, there are plenty of stocks beneath the surface. So let's thank our guests for joining us. Thanks Anuj as well for taking us through the market opening. We have our market master for the day, Prabhat Awasthi of Nomura Financial Advisory, who joins in now. The momentum has been looking very good, Prabhat.